The morning sun spread softly over the quiet town as Ian walked down the narrow street, feeling the gentle breeze brush past him like an old friend he had forgotten for years. He carried in his heart a strange mixture of calm and curiosity because today felt different in ways he could not understand. He moved slowly, taking in the warm colors of the sky, noticing how every leaf shimmered with new life as though the world itself had woken up before him. He reached the small library at the corner where he usually found silence and comfort, but today something pulled him towards the garden behind it, a place he rarely visited. He stepped through the old iron gate and his steps stopped as he saw someone sitting under the ancient banyan tree, someone he had never seen before, yet somehow the sight felt familiar, like a moment hidden in a dream waiting for the right time to appear. She sat with her eyes closed, a notebook resting on her lap, her long hair falling like a cascade of night over her shoulders. There was a stillness around her, a quiet strength that made Ian feel as though he had walked into another world. He did not want to disturb her, yet he found his feet moving on their own as if guided by something unseen. He stood a few steps away, unsure of what to say, though he felt no fear, only a deep sense of wonder. The girl opened her eyes slowly, and when she looked at him it felt as if time itself paused. Her gaze held questions, stories, shadows and light all at once, and Ian felt the world blur around them. Even though no words were spoken, it felt like a conversation had started long before either of them arrived here. She gave a small gentle smile, and it was warm enough to make the cool morning air seem brighter. Ian felt his heart stir with an emotion he had long forgotten, a sense of connection, pure and unexpected. He stepped closer, drawn by the softness in her expression and the mystery in her eyes. The wind moved lightly through the leaves above them, carrying the scent of jasmine from the nearby bushes, and Ian felt an unspoken invitation lingering in the air, as though destiny itself had decided to intervene. At this moment he cleared his throat quietly, though he did not know what he wanted to say. She closed her notebook and her fingers brushed lightly against the cover, as if protecting the thoughts inside. Ian felt a strange pull, like her silence was telling him stories he had been waiting to hear all his life, and in that moment he knew something extraordinary had begun, even if he did not yet understand what shape it would take or how it would change him forever. The morning continued to glow around them, wrapping their first meeting in a tenderness neither of them expected, a beginning shaped by quietness, by chance and perhaps by fate itself. Days that followed moved like slow-flowing rivers, carrying Ian deeper into the mystery of the girl he had met under the banyan tree. Her name was Hina, he learned, though not through her words, for she spoke very little. It was written on the corner of her notebook in soft, graceful handwriting that he happened to see when the breeze lifted one of the pages. He found himself returning to the garden every morning, drawn by a force he could not deny, and every time he arrived she was there, sitting silently beneath the vast branches like a story waiting to unfold. She did not speak much, but her eyes carried a world of emotions that Ian slowly began to understand. He noticed the way she watched the flowers sway, the way her fingers traced invisible patterns on the pages of her notebook, and the way her breaths deepened when the world quieted around them. They formed a language of silence, a bond shaped not by words but by presence, and yet the connection between them felt stronger than any conversation Ian could remember from his life before. He began sharing stories of his childhood, though not aloud, only through the little things he did, leaving a small wildflower beside her notebook, arranging stones into shapes on the path, or sketching the branches of the banyan tree with a stick on the ground. Hina responded with tiny gestures of her own. Sometimes she placed a leaf on his drawings or handed him a small folded paper with a simple drawing of a sunrise. Other times she simply looked at him with eyes that seemed to say she understood everything he was trying to express without speaking a single word. The days grew richer with shared moments that needed no explanation or punctuation. In the vast canvas of the garden time moved slowly but beautifully, painting their connection with shades of longing, comfort and quiet joy. Still, Ian sensed there was something Hina carried within her, something hidden behind the softness, something heavy enough to dim the light in her eyes. From time to time he wished he could ask, but he honored the silence between them, recognizing it as part of her world, a world he could enter only if she opened the door herself. Yet every day he stayed by her side, hoping to be the gentle presence she needed, hoping that someday she would trust him with the truths she held close. The breeze danced through the trees as days passed, seasons shifted slightly, and the colors of the garden deepened. Their silent companionship grew into something neither of them fully understood, but both of them felt deeply, like a melody without sound, like a poem without punctuation, beautiful, whole and carefully unfolding layer by layer in the quiet heart of their meeting place. The day the truth finally rose between them was a day wrapped in soft clouds and silver light. Ian arrived earlier than usual, feeling restless, as though his heart already knew something important was about to happen. He walked into the garden and saw Hina standing instead of sitting, her notebook pressed against her chest, her eyes carrying a storm he had never seen before, and yet her posture held a strength that seemed new. He approached her slowly, unsure of what waited in the space between them, but ready to face whatever she wanted to share. She looked up at him, and for the first time words formed on her lips, though they did not come out. Her breath trembled slightly, and she opened her notebook, holding it out to him. Ian took it gently, feeling the weight of the moment, as though every silent day they had spent together had brought him to this point. He opened the notebook and found pages filled with drawings, moments simple yet powerful sketches of him walking, sketches of the garden, sketches of the quiet interactions, each image carrying emotions deeper than any spoken confession. And then he turned the page and saw a drawing unlike the rest. It showed Hina standing alone beneath the banyan tree, surrounded by shadows, and beneath it, written in soft uneven handwriting, was the truth she had struggled to say. She had been living through months of loneliness, grief and fear after losing someone close. Her silence was not by choice but by pain. The words refused to leave her voice, but they lived in her art. Her world had been wrapped in sorrow until the day she met Ian, the day something in her began to heal slowly, gently, quietly. Ian felt his heart tighten and soften at the same time. He looked up at her and stepped closer, letting the notebook rest at his side. He did not speak because words would break the fragile honesty blooming between them. Instead, he placed his hand over his heart, then extended it toward her, a gesture simple but full of meaning. Hina stared at him with eyes glistening in the soft silver light. Then she reached out, slowly placing her hand in his, her touch trembling yet full of trust. And in that moment the garden felt brighter, the banyan leaves shimmered and the air around them deepened with a warmth that felt like healing. Their story continued not through dramatic declarations but through small acts of courage, shared steps toward hope and the rediscovery of voice and light. Hina began to speak again, slowly, gently, piece by piece, as Ian stayed by her side. Their interesting meeting had become something far more profound, a turning point, a promise, a silent but powerful beginning of a new chapter where two wounded hearts learned to breathe again together in the most unexpected and beautiful way possible.